All right, I've got a great interview for you. One of the top brands and organizations in franchising. Stick around for a really good chat with a really strong person in the franchise space.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Schin.
Hey, welcome, Jeremy.
Hello.
And to my audience here, we got a great interview here today. Got to know Jeremy over the last few months. Really excited to have him and his experience. He and I have about the same amount of years of experience, about 25 years experience in this franchise space. He is the president of Horsepower Brands, really one of the leading umbrella type larger organizations with a collection of brands. So I'm really excited to talk to him about how and bring that to the audience as to how they're doing that. But he's got, again, Jeremy's got 25 years experience. He's really focused on entrepreneurial success. My audience knows that I talk about franchise ownership. You are an entrepreneur. You are a small business owner. So Jeremy's mindset and Horsepower Brands mindset is focused on the franchisees, that entrepreneurial success. They focus on training. They focus on robust support systems. And they focus on innovative strategies. They like to be innovative and leaders in the space. So anyway, Jeremy, appreciate. Oh, and he's also a snappy dancer. So and dresser. So which again for the audience and our audience are brokers and friend dev reps and emerging brand founders, and so they know I like to have a good time, and Jeremy and I have got to know each other here in the last few months, and again, really excited to have him on the show. So that's our little inside joke about snappy dresser and fancy dancer. So anyway, Jeremy, thanks for being on the program. As I had shared with you over the last.
Well, if I could interrupt for just a quick second, just in the spirit of absolute transparency, I need to add three quick corrections to the very generous welcome. My role is actually group president here at Horsepower Brands, where I oversee a few brands. We have a couple of group presidents who oversee multiple brands, and in fact, I am actually not a snappy dancer. My wife's poor feet after our wedding would attest to that. And well, I'll leave up a snappy dresser to the audience to decide.
Thanks for the clarification. No, as I shared with you, Jeremy, that this year I made a transition with the podcast. We've been doing the podcast for almost 3 years now, and I made a transition this year into really going deeper in the content. But every once in a while, I find someone that we really want to highlight, we really want to bring to our audience. And so I thought you, again, being a group president, thought you would be a very episode. So as I said, we're not doing a lot of interviews this year. We did a lot of interviews the first year and a half, 2 years. So anyway, so thanks for joining us, and just that clarification for the audience as well. So just always like to get kind of started to let people have an understanding for those of us who have, a couple of decades worth of time in franchising. How did you get into the franchising space? How did you get into this business?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to start feeling old here. It was back in 1996 at the tender age of about 2021. I needed to find a way to pay for my college education at the University of Nebraska. I knew one thing while I was there. I did not want to go into any kind of debt for education. And going through the old student newspaper, finding things, I saw this ad that said make $10,000 a summer, and I thought, well, I could use that. And one thing led to another, and I ended up purchasing a franchise of a student painting business that I ran for 3 years, employing a number of different college students doing the actual work and things of that nature on people's homes. And I was able to pay for my college education in cash and bought my first home from it.
Wow. 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 So you didn't let the grass grow under your feet, or whatever that old saying is. Uh,
Not all.
even
Hungry dogs run faster, as they say, right?
so even before you had gotten your degree, man, you were off and running as an entrepreneur. That's a really really cool story. So as I shared, my audience is our broker consultants, our friend dev reps, emerging brand founders, and one of the deeper areas I'd like to go into really is because my company is part of what we do is brokering. We really talk about the fit for the business. My quote is, chase the fit, don't necessarily chase the brand.
Mm.
So what do you think? With your years now and multiple brands, you're seeing all kinds of people. What do you think it takes today to get into business for themselves? And I'm thinking from the standpoint of the candidate. What do
Sure.
you think? What are the characteristics that you think people need to bring to the table?
I appreciate you asking that question. I actually will do a one-on-one with every candidate who is actually looking to enter into one of the franchises that I work with and oversee. And the reason why I do that is I take very very seriously, very personally, the success of our franchises. I've owned a couple of different franchises over my course of my career in life, and I understand what it means to make that leap. And I understand that sleepless night that happens after you sign the agreement and going, oh, what in the HE double hockey sticks did I just do? Did I make the right decision? What does this mean? I know what it means to try to make that first payroll and all that kind of stuff. So, but I also understand what it means to win that first job and then to have an exit from a franchise that is profitable for both the person coming in and the outgoing. That's all the things in between. And so when I think about what candidates, and I appreciate the chase the fit, not necessarily the brand. I would encourage people not to get too wrapped up around the quote unquote sexy or hot businesses, but look at the ones that align with your values. Look at the ones that align with your lifestyle. Look at the ones that align with your goals. I'm a big fan of working in non-sexy businesses. Home services, I would classify as an unsexy business, but it does provide a lot of opportunity for people who want to build a business, be an owner operator that scales up a business, hires people to work underneath them, and eventually kind of fires themselves from doing all the different jobs to be a person who eventually works on the business, not necessarily in the business day to day. While also providing an opportunity to go get the customers as opposed to having customers come and find them. And so I think as you look at some of those types of factors, would be things I look at. Also, I encourage people when they're thinking about franchising and purchasing a business. It's more than an investment. Mm-hmm. And an investment is a stock. An investment might even be like, say, purchasing a property that you're going to rent. But if you're going to be buying a business, you're going to be working in it, and you need for it to flourish and grow and hit the goals that you have for it. So just approaching with that right mindset of, hey, this isn't an investment. This is a business. Businesses require people to work in them, run them, lead them. And if you have a desire to be a leader, run an organization, help people through creating economic opportunities for them, and help people achieve goals and things of that nature, I would certainly encourage you to look at purchasing a franchise business.
Yeah, thanks. No, I appreciate that, and it's really good, and I think healthy, and it's good for the franchise industry that people on the brand side are saying these things, not just maybe a broker. I think there's still a lot going on in the marketplace where people, because they have the money, they're being brought into franchise brands They're not the right people. They're not talking candidly about people's gaps and challenges that they're going to have come in. So I appreciate your candor there and your experience in doing that. I also I have to, and this isn't because Jeremy's here. I've been saying this for a while now. I love what I would call the Amazon proof type businesses. I've started reading and following. Give Cody Sanchez a plug. But I read her book, Main Street Millionaire, got me started with her mindset. And it's very, I think a lot of the horsepower brands are very much, like you said, they're not sexy. To me, they're Main Street type businesses, but man, are they fantastic businesses to be in today. And I also used to, we downsized our house and used to live in a neighborhood where there were doctors and lawyers and stuff living there. And, they couldn't unclog their toilets, or they couldn't fix an electrical problem in their house, nor could I. I mean, I can unclog a toilet, but you know what I'm saying? There are services that I don't care how much money you make, you can't do those, and those are great services in franchising. So anyway, I want to go the flip side of this, Jeremy, and say, who do you think should go into business for themselves? I've been talking a lot this year about, in franchising and franchise development, we used to always say, spouse, time, and fear. Those are the three big killers of deals. And that's true. But I this year, I've really started to dig deeper into that fear one. And so one of them to me, fear is the people, it's not a bad brand. They don't have the confidence they can do it. And so that's what leads me into this question. What do you think? Who do you think shouldn't go into business for themselves? Are there characteristics that my audience who are developers or dealing with candidates, what should they be looking for as yellow or red flags?
That's a good question. I'll start with kind of the external factors first, and I'll come to internal factors of an individual. External factors I would look at are this. The financing piece is becoming a little tighter, especially as interest rates are on the higher side. They're coming down a little bit, but people who will be challenging to get financing and get not just finance for franchise fees, but financed for enough working capital for, say, like the first year, things of that nature. With different changes and stuff like that, it's not like it was, 5-6 years ago where interest rates were low and they were, handing out money like Easter time and Skittles. But, so I mean, that piece of it, making sure that they're strongly financially qualified. So you're not putting people at risk primarily.
Right. 100%.
I think that's our first duty in franchising, kind of like with doctors. First duty is do no harm.
Yeah.
To the individual. Beyond that, more like internal factors. I would look at, if somebody has what I refer to as like that fundamental ability and kind of grit, if they lack the fundamental ability, which I would define as the ability to control or manage one's mood, response,
yes,
internal head conversation,
yes,
that they have with themselves in times of stress or transition, they will tend to have a difficult time entering into a franchise system because, it is absolutely that. It is a time of stress and transition moving into business ownership where you previously haven't had that, especially if you've never had that experience before. I think obviously having, familial spousal support is, helpful, not necessarily, required, but I mean, I would never encourage somebody to go against their what's going on in their home to purchase a franchise anywhere or something like that. It's not a healthy spot to be. Just family life wise or life wise, and then that will certainly have an impact on their ability to ramp up and start and be successful running their business as well. But the external factor of like making sure that they're able to acquire and have the ability to acquire the financing or the funding to not just buy the thing, but have at least a good solid runway of working capital to give them the best opportunity, that they're willing to commit the time, energy, and effort into running their business, that they're committed to be an operator of it, not just an investor. And then do they have that fundamental ability, the ability to manage and regulate and then they're themselves, their mood, their reactions, their internal self-conversation as they go through challenging times.
Yeah, 100%. No, we introduced a program this year with a couple of our clients, just called Franchise Foundations of Success, and we worked with and talked to a lot of franchisors, but also worked with these clients specifically, and that was one of that thought process, because your buyers, they're used to 80% of the people we deal with are coming from employment. So they're used to having people around them, people they can talk to. In business ownership, you don't typically have that. So, and just had breakfast with a friend of mine who said that, we have like 9,000 thoughts a day or something that go through our brains, and studies have said 6,000 of them, or 2/3 of them, are negative. And consequently, what you're saying is very important, because they'll have less outlets, less go-to places than they did when they're employed. And so what are they telling themselves is huge. And I think that grit is another thing. And we like to ask questions like, well, what would you do in XYZ situation? Are they, when you're an employee getting a paycheck, I always joke, well, you can go over in the corner and suck your thumb and complain for a couple of weeks and nobody will know the difference, but when you own your own business, you can't do that, so great insight. I appreciate that. Wanted to see, again, especially a guy at your level and your years of experience, franchising changes over the years, and I just always like to ask folks like yourself, with your background and your position these days, what do you see? Are there trends right now? What are you seeing in the marketplace? Anything along those lines that would be, really, really informative for folks watching the episode.
Well, one of the best things that ever happened to franchising was the 2008 financial crisis, right? It flooded the market with high net worth, high competency individuals who had been laid off and that things, but they had the ability to go and start, and maybe even that was the catalyst to many businesses getting started. And then we had this run. COVID hit, everyone thought the world was coming to an end, and actually, especially in the home services world where I operate, it exploded, and we couldn't keep up with the amount of demand of work, and with the franchises really did very, very well. And then we're in this this latest stage where I think we're in a period of uncertainty in the nationally in the country right now. People aren't quite sure what's going to go on, with the financial markets and access to capital and things of that nature. And interest rates are higher as relatively to where they have been for some period of time. So that capital is a bit constrained and things of that nature. All of that being said, franchising still seems to be going strong, and doing very well. We're still growing. We're adding folks to our fold, and franchises are growing. I think people are now also investing more into their homes than they have been or at least that continues to be on an upward trend. And so that's very helpful with the home service franchise industry and things of that nature. As far as like just overall trend, the buzz phrase that was floating around there for a little while was responsible franchising. I think that was just a reaction to the fact that we were slinging industry-wise. Anybody could get anything, and we had a high number of franchise fees made, but then we also had a high level of defect that occurred.
Yeah.
That occurred within the industry overall. And so, the reaction of responsible franchising, which I think is good in its idea. I think that's really comes down to, if I had to classify responsible franchising, it's really about setting proper expectations. Not telling people what they want to hear, but telling them what they should expect as far as their commitment of their time, their talent, their treasure into their business, and making sure that the expectations are going to match pretty closely to the reality of what will happen. What's the old phrase? Happiness is your current situation minus expectations. It's kind of somewhat similar within franchising. Happiness is having what you were told in the beginning match what happens after you get out of training. As far as expectations, at least they're going, okay, I'm prepared for this. They said this was happen. It's actually happening. I trust this. I can move forward with them.
Yeah, I look back on my days of awarding franchises as a master franchisee, and in the system I was in, we were, after they were trained by the franchisor, I mean, we were really responsible for them. We took on probably 90% of the ongoing launching and support, and there were some people that I brought on board that I was just very frank with them of where they would have some gaps, where they would have some challenges, and that we as the franchisor wouldn't fill those. They would need to get some extra, help. Maybe it was in how to sell, for example. But I said, boy, if you are absolutely committed to doing that and you show me that you're going to invest there, I'll bring you on, because your passion for this business is saying you really want to do it. And so, but you gotta, as you said, you gotta lay it out correctly and openly and fairly with people, and expectations matching is huge. I mean, that's brilliant.
Well, to that end, Don, I think it's one of the things that I'm most passionate about when we look at our brands, is making sure that we're able to provide those things. I often joke and say I've spent a long career turning, bankers and accountants and engineers into home services contractors. That means they need to learn how to connect with clients and sell and meet, understand and meet the needs of clients, how to win, people to come work with them, how to do the quotes and all those things, as well as put together, customer experience programs and so on and so forth. We are highly focused at within the brands I serve and at Horsepower to make sure that we are providing that comprehensive support for that, so people don't have to go outside. And so in making sure that that our customer, who is the franchisee, understands that we do provide those things, so they can have certainty that we're going to set them up for success.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that, because again, we brought out the what we call the FFS, the Franchise Foundations of Success, because franchise partners thought they were getting that, and a lot of brands just don't do that. They're focused purely on the operating system, and if somebody does that pretty well, there's not a lot of auxiliary or other types of support. But the bigger organizations like yourself can give that supplemental support, or like I said, we step in and partner with a franchisor to deliver that supplemental or auxiliary type support. So I have two more questions. One is, give us a little bit about the brands you're responsible for, because we have buyers that watch our episodes as well, which I didn't say earlier, but we do. So give us 90 seconds, 2 minutes on each of your brands, so that people know exactly who you're talking about, who you're responsible for.
You bet. Well, I would encourage anybody who is interested to hear, look at the home services space, to give a thorough look to Horsepower Brands. We have 9 different franchise brands that, another way to think about it is we surround the house. We have our roofing brand, Mighty Dog Roofing. Fencing is Stand Strong Fencing. iFoam does insulation in the homes. We have Gatsby Glass, which is custom glass solutions. Varsity Zone HVAC, which is one of our newest brand that's really doing well as far as growth. Heroes Lawn Care that works on the outside of the homes and maintaining spaces, things of that nature. And I'm going to feel horrible if I forget somebody just off the top of my head. And then the two that I oversee are Groovy Hughes Painting, which does both interior and exterior residential and light commercial repaints, one of our newer brands. And then Bumblebee Blinds, which is our window treatment and window fashion solutions provider. And again, the whole idea is, if you have an interest in saying, okay, what is a business where I can go get the customer, where I can, be a professional, bringing professionalism into industries that tend to lack it,
right?
That are highly fragmented, that tend to lack it, and I can serve professionals in their home. I would encourage you to strongly take a look at some of our brands, get in contact with us, and maybe even attend one of our discovery days and explore what options we have available. But again, it's the non-sexy business that creates a lot of opportunity for folks. And I'm like I said, I've been in it for the majority of my adult life, and I love it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I'm 100% on board. We still are a consulting company that truly tries to match people to the right brands. We don't push people to our favorite brands or the highest commission brands or anything like that. But we are talking to people about the opportunities around home services because it truly seems to be booming. So thanks for going across all of your brands. Hey, my last question before we wrap up is simply, is there anything we haven't talked about? You now know the audience, buyers, brokers, friend dev reps, emerging brands. You know the audience now. Is there anything I haven't asked you or we haven't talked about that you got this opportunity now? You got the audience. I've got over 7,000 subscribers now, pushing 7,500 subscribers. Is there anything comes to mind that you go, well, I really wish I had the opportunity to share X. Here's the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate that. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and have this chat with you and in your subscribers and all those folks. I think, the thing I want to do is encourage folks. Our industry, the franchising industry, home services franchising in particular, is a challenging one. But boy, it is. I've seen some really great things occur over the last 10, 15 years within it. The opportunities that exist for people to really change the trajectory of their family and the families that they employ, I think is huge. And so I would just want to encourage people, if you're thinking about starting up a home service franchise brand, yeah, absolutely. There's space out there for you. Make it happen. We encourage people to get into this market. If you're a prospective person looking at purchasing a franchise or a broker who's trying to help somebody find that right fit for them, have them look at this sector of franchising. Again, most people at first would go, "Oh, painting," or putting a roof on a house. No, I wanted to run a kitschy little coffee thing. Well, broaden your horizons. I think what you might find is that you can really make some meaningful impact in people's lives through something, like I say, non-sexy, like painting a house. I think of a time I was at a conference. I was meeting with, sitting at a hotel lounge. I sat down next to a fellow by the name of Cesar, who is a subcontractor in job, kind of a core subcontractor for one of the painting franchises that I was supporting. And I sat down, got to know this guy, and chatting with him. He's from El Salvador, and he just kind of shared with me his life story about how, as a kid at 15, he saw his father murdered in front of him, their family business. And he had to come to the U.S. almost as a refugee, kind of worked his way throughout the U.S. across the country in kitchens and started painting, and how one thing led to another. And he ends up becoming working for one of our franchisees, and he is doing very well. And this guy, I tell you what, is just one of the absolute sweetest people you'd ever meet. Just an absolute golden retriever of a human being, just a sweetheart, nicest guy. And I could tell that he actually really cared about delivering for his clients. He enjoyed serving people in that way. And I found honor in that. And the thing that always struck me is, he's taking care of his family, supporting his family, doing this, which I think is honorable, heroic work. And I will never forget what he said to me. He was like, "Mr. Stick, El Salvadoran accent, Mr. Yarami," as he said. He goes, "I'm never going to go to American college, but because of these opportunities that you guys help create, my children will."
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow. And it broadened my view of the opportunity and responsibility that we have as, in franchising and as business owners, that it's not just about having a transaction with a customer. It's about creating customers for life, and then, creating these opportunities for fellows like Cesar to change the trajectory of families. And those are the type of things that make the rough days worth it, and make the good days even better, because what you're doing has meaning beyond just making a buck for today. It has lasting meaning and impact. And that's one of the things that helps drive me. It's what bounces me out of bed every day, and why I love this industry so much. It's the opportunity to create stories like this and have impact on folks, not just who we serve in their homes, but the people that we have work within our franchise locations.
Yeah, that's a great way for us to close. And I agree. I always try to end my shows about reminding people about what's on the other side of the signature of the FA, the franchise agreement. And it's the owner's family, it's the employees, that the opportunities they give them, the families of those people, and broader, the whole community, because small business owners classically become the part of the fabric of communities. So you are spot on, and that's a fantastic way for us to close. So audience, check out Horsepower Brands. You saw how to reach out to Jeremy. And Jeremy, thanks, man, for pouring into my audience. I appreciate you.
My absolute pleasure. I appreciate the time. And if anybody ever wants to continue conversations, please don't hesitate to ever reach out to me via my email or via LinkedIn. I'd be happy to chat with you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.